watching Christina Aguilera sing live and wrote it with the lights on. See how like rude people can be. Like, it's really special to meet them and talk to them, and we kind of connected. Hey guys, what's up? My name's Emily Shea, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. So today's video is going to be a little bit different than normal. If you haven't noticed, I don't have any makeup on. I'm not ready for the day. But that's because I wanted to get ready with you guys while I talk to you a little bit about my Disney College program experience, some of my favorite stories, some good things, some bad things, and yeah, just have a little story time with you guys of my college program. Okay, so as you guys know, I did my college program in 2021. I came in June of 2021 and stayed until June of 2022 actually while doing my program. And I was doing my program at Buzz Lightyear in Tomorrowland. So if you don't know, Buzz Lightyear is an attraction in Tomorrowland, so I was operating the ride. And because Buzz is classified as an attraction, it's classified as a safety critical role. So there is a lot of like rules and regulations that you have to follow when you're in a safety critical role. And that gave me a lot of anxiety. So I remember my like third day in training, and I was learning everything. I was learning how to work the ride. And I went home and I cried, and I called my mom and I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to like know how to operate this ride. Like, there's so many buttons, there's so many things I have to remember, and I just had so much anxiety with it. And then by the end of my program, I actually ended up being a trainer at the ride. So that was kind of full circle for me, that I was like so scared to operate this ride, because at first it is really intimidating, but then by the end I was teaching other people how to do it. So that's really cool to me. But yeah, so I liked my time in Tomorrowland. It was nice. It had its ups and downs, that's for sure. But overall, I liked it. I was really excited that I got an attractions role, because if I didn't get to do entertainment on my CP, that's what I wanted to do, was attractions. And when I found out that I got Tomorrowland attractions, I was really hoping for either Buzz or Space Mountain, obviously. And I ended up getting Buzz, and I really liked it. It gave me some really good friendships. That's where I met Sam. So of course I like it because of that. So because it's a safety critical role, of like I said, there's a lot of rules and stuff that you have to follow, and that includes like when there's weather outside. So like in Florida, it rains a lot, and we would have to like obviously go outside and deal with the line, deal with the gas, deal with everything while it's raining, because if it's raining, you don't just like stop operating the ride, right? But there were some instances where we became what we call a rain shelter. So the ride would stop operating because it would either like the rain would be coming down too hard that people wouldn't leave the building, and so then the building would get too full of guests at the end of the ride, and so then we would have to stop operating the ride because the gift shop would be too full, or the exit would be too full, or you know, things like that. And so I remember one time we were a rain shelter, and we had a bunch of kids in the load area, and they were just sitting there waiting. And obviously it sucks because you're vacation, like you're just sitting inside of a building waiting for the rain to stop while you're on vacation at Disney World, right? So I decided that we were gonna have some fun. So I started playing a game with some of the kids, and it was really fun. We played, it was a kind of a like spin on rock paper scissors, but with your full body. So it's called People Tigers Traps, and I taught it to the kids and I played with them, and it was a lot of fun. And that is actually kind of one of my favorite memories, because everyone was stuck inside of this building for like an hour at least, and everyone was getting kind of like antsy and upset that it was still raining and it was hailing outside and there was thunder and lightning, and it was absolutely crazy. But I got to play games with the kids, and I got to kind of entertain them a little bit and try to make their days better. And it was just really fun. I had a really, like, that was just like such a strange day at work, but it was really fun and I really enjoyed it. So that was one of my favorite um, memories that I had. But also with the rain came one of the funny things, which we call the Tomorrowland Lake, because for some reason in Tomorrowland there was like a lot of flooding that would happen. Like they didn't have good drains um, to like when it was raining super hard, the drains weren't good enough. And so it would flood in Tomorrowland and we would call it the Tomorrowland Lake. And one time this guy decided that he was gonna like be funny and like swim in the lake. Like that's how much water there was. Like he was like fully like swimming in the water and it was really funny. But of course we had to tell him to stop for safety reasons, but it was just so funny. So yeah, those are my stories about kind of like weather and kind of what happened to Tomorrowland when things were unexpected. This next story that I have, it's kind of crazy and it's definitely my number one favorite memory, favorite like thing I've ever done working at Disney. It was such a weird day. It was so strange. It was the day before the 50th anniversary and I signed up to work what we call a convention shift, so like an events shift, and those are untrained. So as long as you work with the company, you can pick up those shifts and like work them. So I signed up to work one and it was of course the day before the 50th and they had all these like reporters there, like media, they had like influencers, Instagram people, YouTubers, all these news stations there on that day. And so like doing interviews and like getting ready for the 50th, like kind of hyping it up. The park actually closed early. I think it closed at like 6 or 7 p.m. And all these like celebrities and of course all the media people were still in the park and they were getting ready to watch the new fireworks show because Happily Ever After was being replaced for the 50th by Enchantment, and they were doing a live stream for like all like the public to watch the new show, but also we're like doing a press event for it, and so I got to work that. So once the park closed and all the guests left, I went into the hub area like with the castle and I was like ushering around the film crews and they were setting up all the big like trees and bushes and everything on the hub, and they were like, and I just like was in charge and I would be like, okay, I'm gonna take this film crew over to the back lot and do this and do this and this and this. And like it was so weird because it kind of like gave you that sense that like you were important. Like as bad as that sounds, like I was in on something that other people weren't in on, if that makes sense. And so I was ushering film crews around, doing all that, and then it was time for like the show to start. And if you didn't watch the live stream or you don't know, Christina Aguilera performed before Enchantment, like before they aired the new show. Christina performed on stage, and I got to like watch that live. So like I stood on the castle hub, like on the grass, like in the hub, staring at the castle with all these celebrities, watching Christina Aguilera sing live, and then watched the live stream of the new Disney Enchantment show, like in person with all these celebrities while getting paid. And it was crazy. Like, of course, I had things I had to be doing, and I was still doing them, but you know, I was still there and I was still like watching the show with them, and that was crazy to me. And then after the show, they had more interviews for like news stations to be doing, and so Christina was like being interviewed by one of the news stations, and I had to stand by like the rope where she was getting interviewed and like shoo people away. Like if people were trying to come up and like meet her or bug her for another interview or anything, I was like the rope girl that had to be like, sorry, you can't go past this, you can't go in there, you can't go see Christina Aguilera, like no. So I like to tell people that I was her bodyguard. But yeah, that was a crazy, crazy, crazy day. Definitely one that I will remember for like the rest of my life. And I always make jokes about it. I'm always like, oh, I got to see Enchantment before anybody else. Oh, I was Christina Aguilera's bodyguard. all these things. It was insane. So yeah, that one was my favorite day working as on my CP. I highly recommend if you are on the CP and you see like an events shift open, I say like pick it up, because it may not be as cool as the one that I did, but any event is pretty cool in my opinion. So I think that if you're interested in picking up an event shift, pick one up, because you never know what it's going to be. Another cool thing I wanted to talk about was the DCP events that they would put on. So like they put on this after hours event, Animal Kingdom, and it was only for CPs, and we got to like just explore the park and like have it to ourselves for the night, which was really cool. And you got to do all the rides, like every single ride was open except for like obviously the safari because the animals were sleeping. But all the other rides were open, and you got to like explore the park and have free popcorn and free ice cream and free food and do all these things. And at the end of the night, we went to ride Dinosaur. Like me and my friends went to ride Dinosaur, and we get in the car and the guy goes, "This is the last load until we turn the lights on." And we were like, what? Because there was a bunch of people in line behind us. And he looks at us and he goes, "If you guys want to ride this ride with the lights on, go get back in line after you get off this." And we were like, what? And so we rode Dinosaur like normal, and then we went around, got back in line, waited 5 minutes, and rode it with the lights on. And it was insane. And I've ridden a couple rides with the lights on, and Dinosaur was really kind of creepy because you would just like see all the big animatronics, and like, I don't know, it's not what you expect. And yeah, it was crazy. I've also ridden Space Mountain with the lights on, and that was because we had like these buyouts at Magic Kingdom, so companies could like buy out part of the park or the whole park, but it's really expensive. But when they would do that, or like even when we would have cast events or whatever, the park would close at like say 5 p.m. and then the event wouldn't start until like 6:30 or 7. And so everybody that was working before the park closed and then also was working the event would have to stay for that like hour and a half without doing anything, because there was no guests. So you wouldn't have to operate the ride, you wouldn't have to do all these things. And so we kind of just got to hang out. And my coordinators were super cool, and because I worked in Tomorrowland, they were like, "Do you guys want to go ride Space Mountain with the lights on?" And so we were like, yes. And so everybody that was working went to go ride Space Mountain with the lights on. We all got to like hang out with our friends, ride the ride, and it was really fun. And these are all things that were really special during my CP, and I'm really appreciative of them. And like I wouldn't have had these experiences without the college program, so I think it's really cool. I also wanted to talk about some things that weren't the best during my CP. Of course, everybody has like ups and downs during life, like that's just a given. And my CP was no different. If you see me looking, I have my notes right here, that's why. But when I first started in June of 2021, we were still enforcing masks because of COVID, which fine, whatever. I'm all for the masks, you know, but it caused a lot of problems. So like my first month or two working there, I was getting yelled at a lot because of like the mask situation. And it was not ideal, to say the least. It showed me how like rude people can be. Like in the nicest way possible, people were like so rude to cast members. It was like insane. Like you always see these news stories of people screaming in cast members' face and all these things, and it was no different. Like the way that people treat cast members, or like treat each other too, while I was working at Buzz was absolutely insane. And that was kind of like how it started for me, so I kind of expected it. But then they took mask restrictions away. They took them away because COVID was like kind of getting better. They took them away for like 2 weeks and then brought them back. And after they brought them back, it got even worse because people were just angry that like 2 weeks ago I could walk around here and not have a mask on, but now you're telling me I have to, and all these things, and it was a madhouse. So that wasn't the best during my CP. I wasn't happy with that. The other thing that people screamed at us about was the lightning lane. So also when I started in June, lightning lane wasn't a thing. Like, we didn't have the fast pass line, and we didn't have lightning lane because fast pass had gone away because of COVID, and lightning lane hadn't been like implemented yet. So we didn't have anything. So that was like something that we didn't have to deal with. But then when they implemented lightning lane, it just caused a whole bunch of new issues. And don't get me wrong, I think lightning lane is great. I think that people will really enjoy lightning lane. But the amount of issues it caused for cast members when they first implemented it was absolutely insane. Another big reason why we would get screamed at, just because like it did have glitches at first, and I think it still does. Everything will, but it was just insane at first. So I was dealing with masks, I was dealing with lightning lane. It was just absolutely crazy. And anybody that still works in attractions, like, I admire you, because I could, like, it was crazy. I can't deal with it. Another bad thing that happened during my CP was the housing. So I was the first group back after COVID. So I moved into the new college program housing that was Flamingo Crossing Village. And I liked the complex. It was nice. It was clean. It was a brand new building. And it was just expensive. But I had some trouble with my roommates. And we ended up not being friends after my CP. There was a lot of drama that happened, and we just had two different personalities, and by the end of like our CP, we kind of like realized that and got in arguments all the time, and we just like clashed super hard. And so me and my roommate were not friends anymore, and the person that I'm not friends with anymore was in the other bedroom. The person that was in my bedroom, we were great friends. We hung out. She was also an attractions cast member, but she worked at Pirates, and it was a great time. But she actually ended up leaving the program early and going back home just because she realized that Disney wasn't for her. But obviously I was sad because we were friends and we did get along, and I wasn't getting along with my other roommates. But that meant that I had my own room. So I had my own room for like 2 months, I think. So I had my own room, my own bathroom, but I was still paying rent as if I was sharing my room and sharing my bathroom. So that was really nice. But then I had another roommate that came, and he moved in, and it was a dude, which is fine, whatever. I opted into gender neutral housing just because I didn't care. But he was a guy, and we ended up being friends too. So it kind of is just what you make of. You don't have to be friends with your roommate. There's like not a rule that you have to be friends with your roommate. And I just happened to not be friends with them. The ones across the hall. The ones in my room, loved them. They were great. Another thing that I really loved about my CP, and I think this is the last thing that I'm going to talk about, is the magical moments that you get to make for people. So attractions is tough in terms of magical moments, and it became even more tough when Lightning Lane was implemented, because when you met a family that was really deserving of something and you really wanted to like make their trip magical, you would be able to say put them through the lightning lane line, or take them like around the back and put them on the ride, or something like that. But when lightning lane was implemented, it was a paid service, so we weren't really allowed to do that anymore. But I had this friend, and I met her when I was working, and she was the sweetest little girl. She was a little 6-year-old girl, and she was with her grandma, or not her grandma, sorry, her aunt. And they came up, and they were looking for my coworker, Monique. But Monique wasn't there that day. So I started talking to them, and they were wearing celebrating buttons. The aunt and the little girl were wearing celebrating buttons. And on it, it said, celebrating my new heart, because the little girl, her name is Lily, got a new like heart. Like, she literally like got a new heart, and they were celebrating by taking her to Disney. So they had masks on, they were in wheelchairs, like the whole 9 yards to keep her safe, but they were celebrating by taking her to Disney. So it was just really special to meet them and talk to them, and we kind of connected because if you don't know, I had open heart surgery. I didn't get a new heart, but I had open heart surgery when I was a baby. And so me and Lily kind of connected over that. And I remember she would wear these dresses every single time I would see her. She would come back time and time again, always looking for us. And every time I would see her, she would be wearing a different dress. It was like a princess dress. And they would have like lights on them. So her skirts would light up and they would be really flashy and all these things. And Lily loved these dresses. And every time I saw them, I would, of course, take them to the back, put them on the ride because I wanted to do something special for them. And it's just something that I don't think I'll ever forget. Like, Lily, she's just a little 6-year-old girl, but she made such an impact on my life. And her aunt was telling me that Lily would go home and say like, oh, I know I can work at Disney because Emily does, and she had heart surgery and blah, 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 blah. And it just makes my heart so happy to see things like that. And so it was just amazing and I love it. Anyways, I'm getting really sidetracked and I'm just talking to you and I'm not doing my makeup. So let me finish my makeup really quick and then I'll come back with another story or two and finish off the video. All right, so I finished my makeup and I just came back to say a couple of things. Overall, I think that my Disney college program was a once in a lifetime opportunity. I would do it again if I could. It was crazy. I definitely think that if you were thinking of doing the college program, do it. Everyone has different experiences, but overall, I think that you will enjoy it. There are some people that, find out once they get here that it's not for them. And that's totally fine. At least they had the experience of coming here and trying it out. So I think that if you're thinking about it, definitely, try to do it. I will say that, of course, everything has ups and downs. My experiences may not be the same as your experiences, but overall, I am very grateful for the program and what it has taught me. I, of course, am working full-time with the company now, but I wouldn't have, I'm so glad that I started with my CP first because it gave me a taste of what the company is, how the company works, and now I'm full-time and doing what I love. So I am extremely grateful for the time that I had on my CP. I am very grateful for the experiences that I got and the friends that I made, and I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed the couple of stories that I told you, and I kind of was just rambling on, but I hope you guys enjoyed them. And if you want more stories in the future, just let me know. But I am going to be doing a little pros and cons of the college program video coming up, just a little sit down like this, breaking down the pros and cons of the program, and yeah. But for right now, I hope you guys enjoyed this story time, and I will see you next time. Bye.